Hello buddy, Insane Frame here, welcome back to another video. In a previous video we tried to take on Fallout 4 with pipe weaponry. That was really interesting to say the least, so in this video we're going to go ahead and ask, can you beat Fallout 4 as a raider? The idea here is that we'll only be able to use raider armor and weaponry that raiders can use, which for the most part is pipe weaponry and a few melee weapons to boot. So it's not earth-shatteringly powerful or anything, however it does give us quite a few options, which is always fun. I'm going to go ahead and ban power armor right now and also ban the Fat Man though, but anything else is perfectly acceptable. I think this challenge is going to be a lot of fun, so speaking of which, let's go ahead and move on to the rules. We may only use raider armor. We may only use weapons that raiders can use, excluding the Fat Man. No glitches or exploits, no cheating on modding the game's files, and we're going to be playing on very hard difficulty. So with the rules set, I believe that is everything, so let's get started. We begin in Frankenstein's bathroom. We go in and we've made 2 raider parents in the pre-war, which is impressive in and of itself. Doesn't mean we can't still be nice raiders though, and Codsworth hands us a copy. We see the TV and a kid use a Fat Man, which is hilarious, and then Vault-Tec call, and we get to decide our stats. We go for 3 strength, 3 perception, 6 endurance, 4 intelligence, 5 agility, 6 luck, and as for our name we go for Vernon Wells. If you know the character he plays on basing this off, comment down below, it'd be very cool to find out if you people know. We go ahead and walk over to the vault, and once we're frozen we cue the moment for Nora, the poor thing. When we're released, we begin our journey, and our first issue is the Rad Roaches. However, as a raider, we can use our fists to beat them, so there's not really an issue this time round. We get our Pip-Boy in record time and open the vault. We scavenger around the area and find an acceptable weapon and find a switchblade, which is something. We also go back to our house and get the Grown-At comic, so our melee criticals do 5% extra damage. Every little helps, I guess. We also go to our special book and get +1 strength, so we have the blacksmith perk if we need it this run. We make our way to Concord after finding a pipe rifle, and we deal with some of the raiders around here, topping us up on our supplies. Once done, we arrive at the Museum of Freedom and carve through the raiders, trying to get armor pieces as we go. It's not too difficult, and we swipe the perception bobblehead, giving us +1 perception, which is extremely good. It's also time for us to grind a little, and we gain a total of 2 levels, adding the Museum of Freedom XP, and we go for a simple +2 agility. Whilst it's not the most interesting level, it'll pay off much later. We go to the relay station and we begin taking out raiders there, and even defeat Ak-Hak, who has a minigun, by using Molotovs, and we manage to get to the room with lots of loot and get a copy of US Covert Ops, making us more difficult to spot. We also go to Apathy Farm and hand in the locket, gain their level up as well. We go for a simple +1 luck, which admittedly is a lot of stat increases early on, however it's going to help out a lot. We also find this Institute member wandering around, and we manage to end him, netting ourselves a combat knife in the process, which will help out in the early game. After rescuing Trudy and her business, we get ourselves a pipe sniper rifle, which will be the bread and butter of our run. We also level up again, and this time we go for ninja, so our sneak attacks do 2.5 times the damage from range, and our melee attacks do a absolutely whopping ×4 damage, which is really good. We get to Bunker Hill and say we're a raider and go buy some ammunition for our pipe rifle. We also bump into Good Neighbor and do much the same. We take some raiders out with our pipe sniper and gain a level, and we go ahead and take the armor perk, allowing us to improve our raider arm, which is exactly what we do. We look the part and certainly have the gear, but we're missing a vital piece. So we see Piper, who does her thing at the Diamond City Gate, and we head on in. Once inside, we don the pink mohawk, making us a full-on raider now, which is absolutely amazing. With our character set, we make our way to the Trigman hideout and show them what for. We even use a spiked board and some Molotovs to great effect. We also level up and we decide to go for Rifleman, so we deal 20% more damage with a non-automatic rifle, which helps us out by a huge margin, especially at this stage of the game. We test the perk out by sniping Dino, which is absolutely hilarious, and we get to speak to Nick Valentine. We manage to get out easy enough, and Skinny Malone is waiting for us. Sorry Darla, fire and axes are not good for you. Skinny is next on the shopping block, and he goes down without too much of a fight, and his last Trigman is dealt with as well. We meet Nick outside, and he invites us to his office in Diamond City. We level up and we go for the Mr. Sandman perk, so all of our silenced weapons do an additional 15% damage, and we can now silently assassinate enemies if they're asleep. Not sure how the latter part of the perk will come in handy, but a damage boost is always nice. Before we complete any more of the story, it's probably wise if we grind a few levels, due to our armor and weapons being fairly primitive for this run. So we go ahead and visit the USS Constitution, which is an old boat crewed by robots, which is amazing and just so cool. We introduce ourselves to Captain Captain Ironside, he welcomes us aboard. We report to Bosun, who wants us to replace some parts of this ship, which is fairly trivial, and we're then sent to the Navigator next, and he needs something for the radar dish. So we go ahead and get a MacGuffin from Poseidon Energy and get the radar dish repaired. Also, as a side note, we kill a legendary mole rat that gives us a legendary piece of radar armor, which is very nice. We then head to the combat zone and absolutely dominate the raider forces there, which is funny. And whilst I would take Kate as a companion, it's not really necessary, as shortly after we just kill a legendary raider. We head south and stick to higher vantage points so we can safely kill high level raiders with ease, gaining more experience. We eventually make it to the Atom Cats garage and begin their side quest. We get asked to fix a pump at the Warwick's pump station and go ahead and do just that, very straightforward. And then a random person stops us for some reason and asks if we can deal with a super mutant threat. And since we're trying to gain experience, it's actually not a bad idea, but we attempt to get the agility bobblehead and it does prove very difficult for us, so we just jump overboard. We swim on over and get the luck bobblehead, raising our luck by 1 point, and we take another go at the raider infested boat and find Tales of a Junktown jerky vendor. It's just everywhere. It can't leave us alone no matter where we go, but at least it helps out our trading. We managed to clear out the boat and get the agility bobblehead, giving us +1 agility, which will help us out a little bit. We report to the Atom Cats and the gunners begin to attack. We head to the roof of the garage and we do what we can to survive and take pop shots at the gunners and stay out of their sight. We talk to Zeke and we level up. We have a total of 2 levels now. We go for quick hands so we can reload our weapons 25% faster. Very useful with a bolt action. And with our second level up, we go for rifleman rank 2, so we do 40% more damage and now ignore 15% of the target's armor. Very nice. We go back to Goodneighbor and head to the Third Rail Inn to speak to Whitechapel Charlie, who has a side quest. We have to go and deal with some occupants in 3 warehouses found throughout Goodneighbor. It's extremely easy and exactly the sort of quest we're used to. It doesn't take too long and it just gives us some easy caps and decent enough XP. Next up is Diamond City. We go to Mode, see if we can go ahead and grab some baseball memorabilia. It's again fairly easy as we just shoot Mirelurks in the face and get a mitt, a ball and a pitcher and hand them in, and Mo is a very happy camper. With some side quests under our belt, we decide to go and meet the railroad under the North Church. We manage to input the code railroad on the dial, opening the secret entrance. We meet everyone and Glory is here, hello Glory, and we try to cooperate as much as possible, and Deacon then goes ahead and vouches for us. Desdemona is still suspicious, but Deacon wants us in, so gives us a mission if we so choose. We accept it and we meet up with Deacon and then meet Ricky, who gives us a report which leads us to the tunnels. We battle it out against some simps, which was pretty difficult, but we managed to get through with trial and error. Once at the vault, Deacon gives us the Deliverer, which we simply drop on the floor. We get what we came for, which is the Carrington prototype, and fight our way out and meet up with Deacon back at the Railroad HQ. Deacon is talking to Desdemona and Desdemona extend the Railroad invitation our way, which we happily accept. We also get to pick a code name, and out of all of them, none of them suit us better than Bullseye because we like being a sniper type character. With all said and done, we have a whopping 3 level ups. We go ahead and get +1 perception. And then for our next 2 level ups, we saved them up on purpose for 2 ranks of gun nut. Immediately we go ahead and upgrade our pipe sniper rifle, and we even name it the Lead Slinger. We even make a sidearm just in case, so we're good to go with our weaponry. We go back to Nick's office and good old Kellogg Cornflakes comes up in the conversation. We take a walk to Kellogg's house. We try and pick the lot, but we don't get anywhere. We go to the mayor's secretary and we bribe her accordingly like the raider we are. We get to Kellogg's house and find a switch underneath his desk. We press it and it opens up a secret room. Nick suggests we use a specialist, and when we get outside, Dogmeat is waiting for us. But we don't want him to get hurt and he's too precious, so he won't be going with us. We then make our way to Fort Hagen with not too much trouble, which is excellent. The Institute forces aren't too difficult. Through a combination of sniping and melee weapons, more shooting, and then Molotovs, Fort Hagen is actually really fun. And in true Raider fashion, we raid the Fort Hagen armory. We also grab another issue of US Covert Ops, so all is well. We get to Kellogg Cornflakes and we haven't been very Raider-like to our opponents, so we'll start with Kellogg Cornflakes. We take some jet and 4 units of Psycho, as you do, and then open fire. Kellogg takes a stim pack, but we use VATS and end him in style, so all's well that ends well. As for his bodyguard simps, we shoot one down and we use our bladed high iron against the other. It's quite brutal and it kind of felt amazing, so to add insult to injury, we raid Kellogg for everything on him and gain access to his terminal. We find out our son is trying to destroy the Commonwealth, and as a side note, he's been kidnapped, which is fair enough, I guess. We see the Brotherhood is still turn up, who will be a worthy foe, but we'll deal with them in time. Once back at Diamond City, we make a better sidearm and call it the Side Slinger. We also get a level up and get Cap Collector, so buying and selling things is a bit easier. We get to the Memory Den and see Dr. Armani, but we got here too soon. I mainly wanted to see if you could advance the story, but it appears we just have to watch Nick and Piper argue. Speaking of which, Nick and Piper are arguing, and we explain what's happened. We decide to head to the Memory Den despite just going there. We go to Dr. Armani in her lab in the basement, and Nick gets hooked up to the memory machine. We access the memory sequence and we soon find out about Brian Virgil in Kellogg Cornflakes memories. He was a former Institute scientist who decided to live out in the glowing sea. We do a side quest with the railroad and meet Old Man Stockton, who wants us to escort a synth to a railroad safe house. He sends us to clear an area, which we do, and we hit the jackpot. We kill a legendary raider and we get a poison serrated switchblade, which is absolutely amazing. Stockton meets us, we wait around, and High Rise shows up. We escort the synth and we get to use our switchblade, which absolutely carves through the enemy raiders. The bleed damage and the poison damage stack up very nicely. We complete the quest and we go ahead and get a guns and bullets magazine, which increases our critical damage done with ballistic weapons by 5%. Every little bit helps, and we also have a level up and we go for Big Leagues rank 1, so our melee weapons do an additional 20% damage, helping our switchblade damage if we really need it. After doing a side quest, we then fight some ghouls and come across a legendary pipe pistol, which is amazing. We take it back to base, rework it to be a better version of what we got, and as for its legendary effect, it has improved VAT hit chance and 25% less action points cost, which is just mind-blowing to say the least, and is ridiculously huge for us. Anyway, we hand the quest back to Dr. Carrington in the railroad, and we're now ready for the glowing sea. We also level up and go for the Grim Reaper perk, so when we kill someone in VATS, we have a 15% chance to restore all of our action points. Very useful. The glowing sea is also very radioactive and there's lots of enemies. We kill a load of ghouls and we go to Virgil's cave. We see the Deathclaw, we find a perch above the cave and start taking shots at the Deathclaw. It's extremely one-sided in our favour as the Deathclaw just runs away and we just keep shooting it until it falls and we win. We get to Virgil's cave and we speak to Virgil as we want to get inside the Institute. Virgil says we need to find and kill an Institute Corsair so we can get something called a Corsair chip. We go ahead and get to Green Tech Genetics where the Corsair and the Gunners are in the midst of a battle. We carve through the Gunners no problem and even face a legendary Gunner who drops us a nice raided chest piece, which when we fall below 25% health, all of our special stats improve by +3, which is really good, although somewhat situational. We press on further and much like Kellogg Cornflakes, we take some jet and ambush the Corsair in VATS. Since he's on a touch of health, we then use our poison serrated switchblade to great effect and take the win. We also level up and go for rank 2 of Ninja, so our sneak attacks do even more damage. Our ranged attack now does 3 times normal damage and our melee does 5 times normal damage. And once back at the railroad, Desdemona is impressed with our work and gets Tinker Tom to decode the Corsair chip, which is excellent. We also take Tom's serum, which apparently has battery acid in it. I think we're slowly becoming a 40k orc or something. We get back to Virgil and he gives us the blueprints that we need. We show Desdemona the blueprints and she wants us to build it. We get the teleporter put down and everything working, and then we get our mission, which is to locate Patriot within the Institute. Once we are teleported into the Institute, we use the network scanner and also get a message from Patriot, which is very convenient. We level up and we go for Rifleman rank 3, which allows us to do an additional 60% damage and ignore 20% of a target's armor, which will be very useful. We go down the lift and see a fellow villain, good day to you. We have Senior Potato deactivate our fellow villain, curses, but worry not, Senior Potato, we have plans for you. We go to Liam Bennett, who is Patriot, and he says that he wants a pre-war username and password so he can get past the Institute security. We then meet the division heads of the Institute and report back to Father. He tasks us to retrieve a synth who runs a Raider Syndicate, which is interesting. We report back to Desdemona and log everything we see from the Institute onto a terminal. We make our way to the Cambridge Polymer Labs to get the username and password. We go in and deal with some ghouls, climb through some vents and pop out in an office and kill a ghoul to access the terminal. We get the password and override security so we can leave this facility, which is marvellous. When we report back to the railroad, Desdemona wants us to report to Z1 so we can save every last synth from the Institute. We get Patriot and we give him the credentials he wanted, and we give Z1 Desdemona's plan. He says he wants a day to think it over and to get everything organised, so we go ahead and set off for the synth retention mission. We get to the area and it's mostly boats stapled together, but it's perfect for us as it's a nice open area for our pipe sniper. We play to our strengths and take out many of the raiders with little to no trouble, keeping our distance and stealthily moving around. When we see the main area, we take out more raiders and manage to get Gabriel and use a critical strike to end him. His 2 men are also dealt with, but the Corsair is not pleased with us at all. Father does remark that we destroyed the synth, but takes it really well, all things considered. We have some living quarters prepared for us, and we also level up and get Grim Reaper rank 2. So anytime we kill someone in VATS, we now have a 25% chance of getting all of our action points back. Father then assigns us another mission, but this time we had to go to Bunker Hill, so we need to remain undercover. We arrive and take a shortcut, quickly letting us get inside Bunker Hill. We access the basement, and in the basement we destroy a couple of turrets and get to the synths and deactivate every last one of them to keep our cover in the Institute. On our way out, we even pilfer some T-60 power armor, and then we meet Father atop the CIT ruin. He steals our villainous thunder by doing the classic monologue, but soon he'll understand why that's a bad idea. But we keep our cover thanks to the result, which is all that matters. When back at the Institute, we get to sit in on the directors meeting and hear all of the sensitive information, and in particular the activation of a nuclear reactor. Also, Father states he's in grave health and names us his successor, so it couldn't have gone better in our books. After the meeting, we get a level up and we put a point in sneak, so we are 20% harder to detect while sneaking. We speak to Z1, he wishes for us to go to the mines and to kill some guards. It's pretty easy as we just get into a brawl and come out on top. We report back to Z1 and he's grateful for the assistance. You're very much welcome, Z1. Our next mission that we are assigned to is to get a beryllium agitator. We flat out say to Dr. Fillmore that she isn't coming and we're going to go at it alone. We get to the relay and get a prompt to say the Brotherhood is still would be very annoyed with us and will be our enemies. We go ahead and accept as their time will come eventually. The plan is already in motion and we're teleported to the mass fusion building. The initial forces are not a problem, and once inside we take the lift down and we take out all the forces as we descend, until the lift gets blown up, that is. We get out the lift immediately, and after some brief fisticuffs we get going again once we repair the lift. Shortly after the main lobby we go down another lift and are in front of the reactor. We don a hazmat suit and we manage to get inside to obtain the beryllium agitator, which is amazing. What's not amazing is the sentry bot and the protectron that spawn. From our last playthrough, I've learnt you can take cover in the decontamination area, and it makes for a decent enough area where you can chip away at one of the sentry bot's arms and destroy the protectron in the process as well. With that, we do manage to come out on top once we destroy the other arm of the sentry bot. We then get 2 Assaultrons. This took a few tries as we are a sniper build and these guys just charge right in. There's also 2 of them, but we do get to a point where we shoot out their legs and use our sidearm to finish one of them off and use our rifle to finish the other one off. We then deal with minor security afterwards and all is well. We get to the main lobby and shoot at the sidelines, ending several Brotherhood of Steel members until we leave. Dr. Fillmore is handed the beryllium agitator and is impressed with our work. We level up upon completing the quest and we go for Sandman rank 2, which gives silenced weapons an additional 30% more damage, which is really nice. We're then assigned to convince someone to join the Institute. This couldn't possibly go wrong in the slightest, but upon arriving at the site we see some mercenaries in the form of gunners. So we sail up in Grey Garden and aggro the gunners to us, allowing all the Mr. and Miss Handies to chop through the gunners. Perfect, apart from they don't like us either now, so we use fire and bullets to make them scrap heaps, which works wonders. Upon entering and seeing the Institute operation in shambles, we kind of don't really do that well, and we get a synth relayed to quote-unquote force the person out. So mission accomplished, I guess. Father then gets us to do a speech to make the Institute seem more acceptable. We do awful at that and make it sound like we're the villains. Once we got all of that done, we then get the reactor started and Senor Potato allows us to chair the next meeting, and everybody falls in line exactly as planned. Z1 then warns us about the Brotherhood trying to undermine us and destroy the railroad, our key to ruling the wasteland as a raid overlord. Since we don't want our future intelligence service dying, we go to Desdemona and warn her about the Brotherhood. But it's already too late, the Brotherhood has still begin attacking. We sit ourselves so we can shoot the Knight's fusion core, and then we head on out. And poor Glory is dying. She was meant to be our friend and someone we could trust in our Raider Empire. We give Glory our side slinger as a sign of respect and make sure we'll avenge her. The Brotherhood have made a very powerful enemy, as Glory must be avenged at all costs. We go through the tunnel and shoot a guy in the face, killing him. We have a Brotherhood Knight try and kill us, but our sneak attack and then bats kills them without them even getting a shot off against us. Once we get to the ground level, we make two Knights fusion core explode, and then we headshot every single one of the personnel without missing. We then stab a Brotherhood Knight in combat armor to death. We level up and go for sneak rank 2, so we're 30% more difficult to detect while sneaking, and we no longer trigger floor-based traps, which is good. We quickly leave the North Church and buy all the 50 cal ammo we can and return with over 400 rounds. We talk to Desdemona and she says it's time for Operation Red Glare and assigns us to get a vertibird. We leave and ignore Tom outside the police station and open fire, killing many of the forces until none are alive. We speak to Tom after our massacre and head inside the Cambridge police station. We spare no one and keep shooting many Brotherhood of Steel members. The head knight also gets a nasty prick from us and we go to the roof. Once on the roof, we get handed some explosive charges. Thank you, Tom, this is exactly what we need to end Maxon. A vertibird comes to greet us, but we use our critical hit to kill the gunner, and we shoot out the pilot, living up to our code name Bullseye. We then board a vertibird with Tinker Tom piloting it, and once we get to the Prydwen and dock in, we decide to open fire as Ack had a minigun, and Ack was a raider, and now so do we. But we'll only use it this once to kill two Brotherhood of Steel soldiers. But we also level up and go for rank 3 of sneak, so we're 40% harder to detect while sneaking, and we no longer set off enemy mines, which is awesome. We board the command deck of the Prydwen and kill the two grunts. We then ascend the Prydwen and go onto the main deck. We spawn right next to a knight and we shoot his fusion core and head to Elder Maxon's bedroom, all according to plan. We managed to get the best hiding place and we managed to take out several notable characters aboard the Prydwen, which makes our job much easier, which is fantastic. We then hunker down and use the corridor as a natural choke point to pick off personnel. We had to shoot out some fusion cores acting as portable grenades as well, which works amazingly well. We then plant some explosive charges, so we're all good. We also survey the damage that has been done. It's a good start, but we make sure to spare the kitty cat as we chase it around and try to pelt it. But Todd has assured me that the cat shall be okay because it has been teleported to a loving home. We raid the Brotherhood Armory, so we're all set to face Maxon. We managed to pop a stealth boy, taking notes from Kellogg Cornflakes, and sneak attack Maxon whilst using a critical hit as well. Once he's taken care of, his bodyguards are next, and very quickly they also bite the dust. We also loot Maxon for his spoils and wear his battle coat accordingly. It looks amazing, however we default back to our raider garments. Before we leave the Prydwen as well, we snipe a fair few Brotherhood of Steel members from the Prydwen. It's fair to say we did a pretty good job, as so many of their number fall. We then depart on the vertibird and watch as the Brotherhood of Steel are now left in ruins in a flaming wreckage. The Brotherhood chapter here and Maxon are no more. We report back to the railroad and we ask Desdemona if we can attack the Institute. She agrees, so we turn our attention to the Institute. We approach Z1, who's all ready, and we get to work. Once the relay is clear, we teleport in the railroad and we get the pulse charge so we can begin our assault. We lead the way, shooting all the simps in the face who get in our way. It's pretty easy, and we single-handedly destroy all the forces in the production area. With everything going extremely well, we drop down the hatch and go to bioscience, which is very easy, so we just hold our position and snipe people from afar. Once the guerrillas are out, though, it's time to go on the attack. We level up and go for sneak rank 4, so we're 50% harder to detect, and running no longer affects our stealth. The main plaster is up next. It's brilliant as we just overwhelm the Institute with numbers. We just sit back giving firing support whilst letting everyone do their thing. Shortly after, we get to visit Senor Potato and we use the first weapon of the run. It's got a wedding ring attached to it as Nora deserves to be avenged, and so we end Senor Potato with a fist in the face. We make our way to advanced systems after activating the override, and we make it to the reactor and place the pulse charge. We then get teleported to the entrance. The child synth, our fellow villain, wishes to come with us. We needlessly accept as he can become our successor for our Raider Empire. Tom then teleports us out, allowing us to press the detonator, ending the run, answering the question, can you beat Fallout 4 as a Raider? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can, and it's a hell of a lot of fun to do so. Okay, that run was the most fun I've had since the Silver Shroud in Far Harbor. It was just so much fun, and whilst it is an easy challenge, I would recommend it. It's just such a barrel of laughs. But don't think we're done with this character just yet. I think he's going to be making a return in the future for sure. it's just, yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be great, and it was just so much fun doing this challenge. So thank you to all of you that requested it. I know it took me a while to get round to it, and we did get there in the end. So thank you. For our next video, we'll be attempting to do Fallout New Vegas with the Ranger Sequoia. It's going to be interesting and fun. I hope you all enjoy. And like the video if you liked the video, comment down below. It's always wonderful hearing from all of you brilliant, fantastic people. And subscribe if you're new. And lastly, thank you all for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. You're all amazing. And I just want to say, as a little side note, thank you for all of your support, every single one of you. You're making this channel a real pleasure to do, and it's just so amazing of you all. Anyway, this is Insane Frame, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.